Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, hello, and sorry for the technical difficulties, but this is our first time doing a live with each other with my BFF, Miss Rita Velez, also known as the Daily Diabetic Diva. Hi,
Yay.
Diva.
Hi, Kimberly.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing all right for a Sunday. How about you?
I'm doing good. A little uh, cabin fever, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, I'm not there yet. Being home is still kind of new for me, having to
Uh-huh.
be indoors because rarely do I get to stay home. So I'm kind of enjoying it right now.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
tell folks a little bit about, like, just a background of where you work and why it is that you're having to. I mean, we're all having to work from home, but why especially you are having to work from home?
Okay. So I work for the federal courts here
Hmm.
in our hometown,
El
and I've
Paso,
been
Texas.
so beautiful city.
Yes.
I born and raised here, and I've been working with the federal courts since 2003.
Okay.
And during that time, around 2016, I was diagnosed with type 2
Hmm.
diabetes.
Okay.
Uh,
What's the
but
difference?
the difference between type 2 and type 1.
Yeah.
So type 2, most of the time is a matter of lifestyle. The pancreas is overworked, and not enough exercise, not eating right, a sedentary life. Um,
Meaning no exercise, just sitting around not doing much.
yeah,
Okay.
or you're just so busy with everything else, that by the time you get home, you just want to go to sleep or relax,
Yeah.
wind down, that kind of stuff. And then in the mornings, it might be too early. You might be kind of a person like myself. I'm not a morning person, so I don't like to get up and exercise first thing. So it was weird though, because I have always been a somewhat active person. Like, I have always managed to maybe exercise during my lunch hour, or I had the willpower that when I got home, I would do something active, go walking, running.
Something,
One
yeah.
year, yeah, one year I decided to run a marathon. So that
Yes.
whole year was dedicated to running. And yeah, I love to eat, but I don't think I can, eat a whole pizza by
Yeah.
myself, and or I eat hamburgers and fries every day. So when I
Yeah.
got the diagnosis, it was a little shocking.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Did you go straight from 1 to 2, or were you just automatically diagnosed with type
no.
2?
So 2 is probably the more manageable diabetes, because it's a
Mm.
matter of lifestyle. Type 1 is where your pancreas is completely dead. It doesn't function at all.
Mm.
So
Okay.
the dilemma there with type 1 is that even if you're not hungry, you still have to eat because your pancreas isn't working
Okay.
and your body needs insulin. And
Okay.
so you have you have to feed your body insulin. And if you feed your body insulin, then your sugars go up and you can get sick that way. So you
Hmm.
have to feed your body insulin, and you have to eat, because if you don't, then you have no insulin
Okay.
and your sugars go up, and you eat
Okay.
and you don't inject, then you get sick.
Okay.
Or if you inject and you don't eat, you're going to get sick. So
Okay.
either way, you'll
Yeah.
get sick if you don't balance it right.
Yeah. So, back in, you said, say the date again when you were diagnosed. Ex-
It was probably October of 2016. It's hard for
Okay.
me to remember,
Yeah.
either 15 or 16. Um, yeah, I got diagnosed with type 2. It was a slap in the face, because I had always considered myself a healthy person,
Hmm.
strong bodied, strong mind, a fighter. And then I was really introduced to what it was like to have to um, be a healthy person and a
Change,
fighter.
yeah, change things up and really be dedicated. Even though all of us were drinking and eating the food we want to eat,
Yeah.
you were had to stay strong, right?
Yeah. And I love to be spontaneous. And as you know, it's our culture where eating is an event,
Yes.
every time.
Social event. Yes.
Saturday morning breakfast, when you're making breakfast, or, you know, getting together with your sisters or your family, whatever, for
Mhm.
anything, the food is one of the main guests at your event.
Yeah. That's a
And
great
so
way to put it. Yeah,
yeah, and
definitely.
it's a celebration. It's fun. Ooh, what are we gonna have to eat? It's
Yeah.
always the big question. So
Always, and
I
always a good time too.
yeah. And and it was frustrating because I love to be spontaneous and I can't.
Yeah.
Sure, I cannot be spontaneous anymore. Like my plan, my daily life has to function around what I'm going to eat, what time I'm going to eat,
Mhm.
and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay. So, how has this um, coronavirus, COVID
Oh,
19, how has this heightened your senses and, you know, as well as the fact that you didn't used to have to work from home, but now you're one of the top, you're one of those categories up there with the elderly,
yeah.
because of your underlying condition of being a diabetic, that you are, it's very important for you to, isolate and work from home.
It has certainly raised my level of anxiety.
Okay.
Uh, you know, this the COVID-19.
Mhm.
Um, every news outlet or every information that I look at, even the CDC, their website, it says if you have a compromised immune system, and those most at risk are people with lung issues like asthma
Mhm.
or the elderly or an underlying condition such as diabetes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say if you're type 1 or type 2 it's better or not. It
It
just
just
says if you
doesn't.
have diabetes. So it's the
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of people here in our country alone
Mhm.
that are living with diabetes.
Yeah.
And it's nerve-wracking. I've been scared. I tried to be strong, and really the reality is that if I don't catch it at work, you know
Mhm.
someone in my family can bring it home to me,
Yeah. Cuz
and that's terrifying.
yeah,
um
cuz your husband works at the courthouse, correct? And your
yes.
daughter um lives with you currently. And
Hmm.
then do you see the grandkids at all or no?
Yes.
You
And
still
they
are.
were
Okay.
with us all day yesterday.
Okay.
And I'm a natural worrywart, and so and my grandchildren were here with us all day long yesterday, and it was such a joy to have them and stuff, and to
Mhm.
play with them, and the things that they do that just crack me up. But I'm also reading that little ones are now catching it. I
Mhm.
just saw a post of a 5-year-old out in the Dallas area
Wow.
who was on, they had her on a ventilator.
Mm.
And it didn't say if she had an underlying condition, but the thought that one of my two babies or both of my babies, could get sick, my grandchildren, it devastates me
Yeah.
and scares me even more. But I have to give work their kudos. I have to shout out to the federal courts, at least here for the Western District of Texas. You know, I would have liked to have seen a plan in action for many, many years now, for something catastrophic.
Mhm.
I consider this a catastrophic event for our lives, in this
Mhm.
day and age. But they certainly jumped into action.
Yeah.
And I give credit to, I report to a judge. I definitely give credit to him because he was the one that was more aggressive about it with me. Because in my mind, I was like, I'll be fine. I'll be in the courtroom. There's that 6 feet of distance.
Yeah.
But you have all sorts of people in and out. You have the attorneys, you have the different sister agencies that work with the court,
Mhm.
you have the defendants, and you don't know who's bringing in what at
Yeah.
any given time because there's
Yeah.
other diseases that that can get into the courtroom.
Yeah.
But the judge that I report to was amazing. He was like, last Monday he was like, absolutely not, you are not going to be in the courtroom.
Mm.
And he kind of went, took it to the forefront and just made it sure, not to put me ahead of everybody else, but because
Yeah.
I'm now type 1, my body is morphed
Yeah.
from a type 2 into a type 1.
Mhm.
And now it just feels like I'm more delicate. And I call myself the Daily Diabetic Diva because everything I need to do every day
Yeah.
just to survive, just to be normal,
Yeah.
I have to keep an eye on my feet. I have to keep an eye on everything. Some things you don't want to know about on the
Yeah.
things that I have to take care of. But I do it because I want to
Yeah.
be around and I want to
Yeah.
stay healthy.
Yeah.
So he jumped in, and then our leadership jumped in. And so they kind of quarantined me off to a small corner of the office. They didn't let me go upstairs to the courtroom.
Mhm.
And by Thursday, they had pretty much, well, they had the entire office set up to work from home.
Yeah. Were you wearing okay,
So,
so before all this, were you taking precautions like wearing gloves? I mean, besides washing hands, because I know you personally, you were a super, clean freak, but not, I mean, I don't want to say that because
yeah,
really now we should just be diligent in general about washing our hands.
yeah,
Um, but were you wearing gloves? I mean, I've been out to the grocery store a couple times, and I find myself like, wearing gloves, hand sanitizer, washing, making sure we spray things down when they come in. When
yeah,
we bring them from outside, I live with, Brandon, and so we're overly conscious about, even because he's going out into the public more than I am, just because of,
yeah,
he works for a restaurant, um,
yeah,
and knock on wood, he still has his job. However, they, they're delivering now to people, and or people coming to pick it up. But so he has a, but he's always been a super washing hands type of person. But
mm.
now, what do you like for you? That's were you wearing gloves? What were you doing
There at
beforehand?
the office.
Yeah, at the office
Um,
before you were at home.
right. So, I definitely did as much as not touch items that I didn't have to touch.
Hmm.
Like in the elevators, if I had to use the elevators, I was using my elbows.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of our doors are, you need a pass, it's a
Okay.
security pass. And so the door is locked, but once that you run your security pass, it unlocks and you can just, push it with your shoulder,
Hmm.
stuff like that. If I was gonna have to pull a door open, I would try and grab it. What I think in my mind is like an area that most people won't grab, at the part of the door handle,
Uh huh.
and just enough to kind of pull the door open and then get my foot in, and then edge the rest of my body
Hmm.
through the door so that I don't have to touch anything.
Because they're heavy
Um,
doors. Not like these are light doors you can just kick open.
right, right,
Yeah.
but there's a will, there's a way. So,
Yeah.
so then also I think they supplied us with Clorox wipes and hand sanitizer,
Nice.
absolutely Lysol.
Yeah.
And so pretty much, I think it's funny because 2 weeks ago, some coworkers were kind of teasing me about, the hand sanitizing and the Clorox. And
Hmm.
this week, everybody was on board about
Yeah.
grabbing a wipey and wiping. Even if they were gonna grab the coffee pot, they had a wipey in their hand and they were holding the coffee pot with the wipey.
Yeah.
Because they read that this virus stays on surfaces for up to 3 days.
3 days. Yeah. I had seen something on somebody had sent me a message on Facebook or something that said that gas tanks
Mm-hmm.
and the spread on gas tanks and things of that sort were, and I didn't know the exact days that they stay alive, but obviously 3 days. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so now it's definitely make your, I think everybody's heightened about it and making sure that they spray, they wash, and that I even watched this video on, actually I think LinkedIn, where they put gloves and they show you how with ink, where how you should, not just sing the birthday song like Brandon tells me, but then you doing these things, and then also washing within your hands and all
Mm-hmm.
over to make sure we get our hands fully washed.
And the one of the things that I don't think people understand is that when we speak,
Mhm.
there's spit coming out of our mouth, even though we
Yeah.
don't see those particles coming out.
Mhm.
There's still spit,
Yeah.
happening. If you're a
Absolutely.
person like I love to use my hands when I talk,
Mhm.
and I feel like I get my point across better if I'm using my hands.
Yeah.
You know, even it's so hard to hold a conversation with somebody and not be expressive
Yeah.
and not real. I mean, people think, well, I've already washed my hands. Well, yeah, but you're talking. you're
Mhm.
talking,
To
and
somebody.
even breathing. That's why they say to keep that social distance. And I gotta tell you, yesterday, um, Dacia needed to go to the store and pick up some groceries, and so I went with her and the babies to help
Mhm.
her out and stuff. And we were at Sam's, and people don't get it, that social distancing. They don't get it, and I kept trying to avoid people in the aisle
Yeah.
and stuff,
Yeah.
because they stop and they're in the way, and it was driving me crazy that when we got to the checkout,
Mhm.
you know even then, there was this older lady, and a woman who is, she herself is compromised because she was clearly over 60,
Mm.
right up behind Dacia. And as Dacia is also a type 1.
Yeah.
And so, both of us are putting ourselves out there. Why we were out there getting it, it was one of those situations where we had to go at that time. We
Yeah.
couldn't wait. And so I got
And
like an
women
anxiety
and real
attack.
like real fast women with like you were going to help her if she like if you hadn't been there, it's like it's almost like a catch 22. Do you leave your child with someone, or do you take them with
Yeah,
you to keep them
yeah,
protected? And
yeah,
you're granted you're her grandmother, so but the what if, or most of the time I saw a lot of parents or with their children, and they just keeping them closer to them is possibly better to keep them out of or away from stuff
yeah,
that could,
yeah. Well, yeah. So these, there was all these people like at the register, and I got like an anxiety attack.
mm,
I thought I was about to freak out and be like, everybody, step the hell
away.
back, step
Yeah.
back. Don't you love your life?
Yeah.
What if I'm sick? Well, so then we went to another store later on, and I did. I did
Mm,
that. These people were right up on Dacia, and I had to tell them in Spanish, so
yeah.
I'm sure they probably thought I was an idiot, or some horrible woman. But I had to tell them, look, with all respect, can you please take a couple of steps back more,
Yeah.
because we don't know if we're sick. You don't know
Yeah.
if you're sick. It's for your own protection. Of course, they
Yeah.
looked at me like a I don't know, some horrible woman. Yeah, I could use colorful words, but I
Yeah.
won't. And Dottie was a little embarrassed, but at the same time,
You're
she got it
protecting.
too.
Yeah. You have to be. You
And
have
who knows? I mean, what if I'm one of those people that I do have it? I was at work or something. I picked it up somewhere, and I'm
yeah.
one of those people, rare cases, that I'm asymptomatic
Yeah.
with my underlying condition, and I'm giving it to everybody. I've already given it to my family
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
And one more thing, Kimberly.
Yes.
I mean, I can do everything I can possibly think of to be hypersensitive and clean and take care and stuff, but
Hmm.
I still have my youngest and my husband leaving the house.
Yeah.
You know,
Coming
I'm
back.
sure they're doing what they need to do or what they think that they're doing. They need to be aware of it. But again, they don't know
Yeah.
if they're coming home bringing it in.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
they don't. And when they come in the house,
they're
they don't.
not.
What they're touching and what or not even thinking about. We don't think about the number of times that we touch lights and we touch our face or we touch. I am probably now thinking about that more than I ever did. Um, and it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
I catch myself thinking, okay, don't get freaked out. But at the same time, I want to be careful because, you know, of Brandon's children and, both of our parents are older, in their 70s. And, I'm debating on whether I'm even going to take that flight home this month because I'm worried about giving anything to my mom, you know. Um, I'm gonna have to like do some pros and cons, if it's, and maybe talk to a couple of medical professionals on their thoughts, even if I like totally, cover up and put the mask on with the gloves and take that flight and then totally wash myself off, then is that what I should do? I'm torn right now, but I get it. I get it. Social distancing, people. So um, tell me it like in a few, short snippets, just for the sake of time, because I don't know how long this software before it'll cut us off. Will go, but what are you doing differently at home? Like, how has it affected you from working from home? Like, do you like it? Do you not like working from home? What, any tips on getting for those who don't usually work from home get adjusted?
So we're in my profession, you know, they've stayed traditional from the 8 to 5 work
Mhm.
schedule, and so this is new country for them. This is a new life for the leadership, the
Yeah.
executive leadership and the judges, for the Western District of Texas. And they, first of all, the legal brilliance of these judges, how they can weigh matters on both sides, and usually on in a legal matter. But now they were faced with an opportunity. I mean, not an opportunity, but they were faced with this issue of
Mhm.
now they have to consider something that, new territory. This
Yeah.
this monster, this virus, this unseen killer,
Yeah.
you know,
That doesn't
and
discriminate.
they does not discriminate.
Yeah.
And they had, and luckily, the way the laws of our country work is, at times the best interest of the defendant and the best interest of the public will outweigh the interest of justice,
Mhm.
because in the federal system we have speedy trial. And so every defendant, you know the court has to work in a certain amount of days. As soon as a case is started,
Mhm.
the court is forced to work that amount of days, or
Mhm.
else this will not happen anymore, to put it simply.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, we are on a clock. We're on a clock. There's times, though, that happens when the interests of justice are
Mhm.
outweighed by, in this instant, the interest of the justice of the public. That meaning the lives and the health of everybody involved.
Mhm.
And defendants are afforded their due rights, and that was our courts, our judges, their concerns. They want to make sure that these defendants are given their due rights and that they're not getting taken advantage of. And I
Yeah.
admire that, because and I imagine that that's the courts throughout the continental United States and our outlying territories and Hawaii and stuff. But that's just the brilliance of our courts, and I'm grateful for that. Is that they always have the in their minds that it's practiced, that people are given their due rights.
Mhm.
And in this time, in this situation, now they had to not only think the interest defense, but they brought in public and the employees, and they got into
Mhm.
action and they made it work quick. And so they're in new territory. We're all in new territory, working from home in this field, in this line of work.
Yeah.
You know, and we have to
Don't
make
leave behind, guys.
sure that as employees, but well, I mean, we have to make sure that as employees and representatives of the U.S. courts, that when we're at home, we're doing what we have to do. We're still
Yeah.
working. We're still making sure that that justice, the wheels of justice, are still rolling. It's
Mhm.
not a vacation for us. It's very odd for us to feel like it's okay for us to work from home. We're not a
Yeah.
private sector that can be much more flexible.
Yeah.
We work for you. We work
Mhm.
for the people of the United States,
Mhm.
and so we don't want to disappoint anybody. And
So,
so I think that integrity of our office and of our leadership and our courts, uh,
mhm.
they'll be okay. We'll be fine because we're going to do what we have to do.
Mhm.
um, and there will be court will still be held.
Mhm.
They're working out ways to where it's safe for everybody.
Mhm.
And so, I may be doing one day out of the week there at the building.
Mhm.
Um, but it's just to make sure that the rights are still, it's continuing,
Yeah. So
you
what
know,
I'm hearing from you is
just
you're probably
can't
going to be working
stop.
more. Well, and what I'm hearing from all that is that you're probably going to be working more because you are at home, like because that you're under a time sensitive stamp. So you got to get what you got to get
Well, yeah,
done,
I mean,
and
yeah.
not
And so, and it may
and
happen,
not dilly dally, I should say.
right. And sometimes it maybe it's true. Maybe work will get done a lot quicker that now that we're home. We're not
Mhm.
taking the time to commute. We're not
Yeah.
taking the time to, drop our kids off at daycare or pick them
Yeah.
up, or, you
Any
know, where we're all
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Hmm. Mhm.
Well,
So
I
it's
really
new territory for me, cer
you broke up on me, but that's okay.
I said it's new territory for me and certainly for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, for everyone, for sure. I'm definitely finding it where I usually work from home, but now I also had the choice to get out whenever I want, and since now I can, it's a little stir crazy. So that's why I started inviting people to do lives with me because I need human interaction on a regular basis. So I appreciate you, Rita, for jumping on with me and giving this a try. And hopefully, we will be able to connect more remotely instead of waiting the
Mhm.
month, you know, the 30 days
Yeah.
for me to go back to
Yeah.
El Paso. But I'm excited that you have launched your new YouTube channel to educate others on, um, the life of someone with diabetes and what it means to be a diabetic and
Yes.
from from type 2 to type 1 and not like first is type 2 and then goes type 1. I didn't know that. You would think it went the other way around, but I'm
No.
excited to have I know I'm excited to have more education from you on all of it in general, period.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
so, how can people reach you if they want to connect with you and get to know more about the Daily Diabetic Diva?
Well, they can definitely find me on my YouTube channel,
Okay.
the Daily Diabetic Diva.
Okay.
Absolutely. As you know, I'm not technologically savvy, um,
Getting there.
which was a little bit of a challenge for our IT department.
Yeah.
Getting me adjusted to this at home stuff. But I'm a learner. I'm a gradual learner. I'll pick it up. But
Yeah.
yeah, reach out to me absolutely at that
Awesome.
channel. So
And
um,
they can leave you
just
messages
gonna
there
start
and they
pumping out
can
episodes.
yeah,
Yeah,
and they can definitely you'll hopefully get on a regular schedule and leaving either a message there or something in the comments for sure. So thank
absolutely.
you, Rita.
Yeah. Well,
I
thanks for the
appreciate you.
invite.
And yeah, and folks, if this live somebody who needs to hear it, please share it with them. Leave a comment below, and keep keep a lookout because we will be doing more of these. Thanks again. Have a great
All right.
afternoon. Bye, Rita. Love ya.